And the one thing that always kind of irks me is the word fake.
I get offended when I hear the word fake. When someone's like, "Oh, you do that fake stuff."
Here's the thing, darling. Let me smarten you up to the wrestling business because apparently nobody else has. You fucking ungrateful twat.
Thanks for watching Numbskull News, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I usually do a lot of NFL videos, especially the Dallas Cowboys. Every once in a while I'll throw a basketball video on you, but you know, basketball's been canceled, along with all the other sports out there. But today I'm going to do something a little bit different, something I haven't done, which is a video on wrestling. Now, wrestling MMA kind of deal. Growing up, I was a huge wrestling fan, loved it. I actually kind of got out of it probably around high school. I was playing a lot of football and stuff like that, and just, kind of fell off. Shortly after high school, someone told me to check out WCW because they got, Hulk Hogan's a bad guy, and you got to watch this guy Goldberg. And watched it and fell in love with it and followed it for years. And then WCW went to crap. Went back to WWE, was really good. I enjoyed Stone Cold, The Rock, and all these other guys. I fell off after a while, kind of bored me. And then Impact Wrestling came on. He had some old school guys like Scott Steiner that was back, and I always liked him. He's, one of the best bad guys, one of the best assholes you'll ever see on TV. They had their version of the lightweight or cruiserweight division that was really cool. Had an octagon-shaped ring with, the wires going across. It was just cool. And then that went to hell. And then I just lost interest and really probably for about the last 11 years haven't really paid any attention at all to the world of wrestling. That is until Ronda Rousey got into the WWE. I was a big Ronda Rousey fan. I know she lost her 2 last matches in the UFC. Got knocked out both times, but that's what happens when you go Hollywood and you're not really all in on your career anymore. You're going to get beat. And plus she probably had one of the worst freaking coaches ever. The dude's a moron. So she goes to the WWE. So I start tuning in just to watch Ronda a little bit. And look, it's not oh man, she's like the sexiest, hottest thing in the world. No, I'd never seen such a female asshole before. And I thought she was cool, man. She was like a heel character, but fighting for real. And now she's going to the WWE, and I'm like, wow, this is a perfect fit for someone like her. I don't know who writes for the WWE anymore, but they suck. They suck ass. They don't know how to properly use anybody. They got her coming out there looking like Roddy Piper. Because her nickname in the UFC was Ronda Rousey. I mean, come on, do something different with her. Don't. Anyway, a few weeks into that, maybe a couple of months of following that, and it just, and the women's division in the WWE sucks ass. I can't stand it. I really enjoyed people like Gail Kim back in the day. I mean, women who can actually throw down, who can actually wrestle, fly off the ropes. And I know they got some athletic women there, but come on. I can't stand the outfits. They look like garbage. There's no, unique personality. In the, that's one thing if you have 2 or 3 people looking like that and they're in a stable or something, but when it's every freaking wrestler with some bright ass looking anime costume, looks like they're going to a cosplay thing. It's just bullshit, and it just I'm a straight male, but I'm sorry, just back back in my day. Well, back in my day, a lot of women could really throw down, and even if they couldn't, at least they had their own unique style. Each woman did. Now they all look alike, and looks like someone just took a bunch of packages of Play-Doh and mashed them together, and it just sucks. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't like what they were doing with Ronda. Anyway, she left the WWE, which I was glad. I'm like, you know what? They're not going to use you worth a damn anyway. You might as well get out of there. Ronda's always been an amazing shit talker. And by the way, she praised the WWE, thought it was a great organization, praised her fellow wrestlers, and, said, hey, man, these people work hard and all this kind of stuff. And But she uttered one phrase, because being Ronda, she's got to do it. One phrase, it just pissed off at all kinds of people. She said she had fun having fake fights with her friends. Nothing's going to piss wrestling people off more than using the F word, calling it fake. But, you know, you got to think about where Ronda comes from. She comes from a world of real fighting, you know, getting punched in the face. She's been knocked out twice. She's knocked women out. She's submitted women. She's destroyed them. You know, before that, she was in the Olympics. I mean, real competition, not some scripted bullshit. I saw that, and to me, it was kind of Ronda being Ronda. I thought it was kind of funny and moved on, you know, but every once in a while, you know, I'll listen to a podcast. You know, Stone Cold has a pretty decent podcast, but I really like Jim Cornette. He's such he's a turd, man. He's got a great personality, a great voice for a podcast kind of thing. And you know, if you're younger than like 30, you have no idea who this guy is. But older generation, I'm 42, so when I was a young kid, I used to see, you know, the heel character come down the ring, you know, some asshole, you know, they a lot of times, oftentimes would have a manager like Jimmy Hart or Bobby the Brain Heenan. Cornette was one of those managers, you know. It was in some ridiculous suit and for some reason always carrying a tennis racket. I don't know. That was his thing. But he was great on the mic and talked some amazing shit. And he brought that to his podcast. He talks great shit. I don't listen very often because, you know, I listen once in a while. I'm just not into wrestling anymore. You know, I watched the Royal Rumble like a couple years back, the last one I'll ever watch, and it's just ridiculous. These guys, man, it's like everyone has their little shtick. Every wrestler. There was like 20 guys that came down to the ring, and they all have a catchphrase that the audience repeats. You know, back in the day, only the very, very top guys like The Rock or Stone Cold, Hogan, or Ric Flair, or someone like only the biggest of the big would get the catchphrase, and the crowd repeats it. You know, it was kind of reserved for those higher level people. Not anymore. It's their version of the Repo Man has a catchphrase everybody knows. It's ridiculous, man. Back to what I was saying. So, on the Jim Cornette podcast, they go over this. I mean, and it pisses Jim Cornette off. I mean, he spent, 40, 50 years in the business, made his bones in the business, so, you know, he's incredibly pissed. You know, even goes so far as to called her a spoiled twat or something. And like I said, this is a video defending Ronda Rousey, make no mistake. But I love Jim Cornette, so when he uses that kind of language, it tickles the hell out of me. However, he's dead wrong, because I've listened to his podcast. I've talked to other wrestlers, and him giving his personal stories of old stories, and I love that stuff. It's kind of cool to listen to sometimes. But they talk about kayfabe, right? Which, in case you don't know, what kayfabe is, it's the illusion of the reality of what you're watching on wrestling. Because it is fake. It is fake. It's scripted, all that. Yeah, it's a stunt show with dramatic storylines built in. Like soap opera kind of shit. Jim Cornette, not just him, but there's been almost every old school wrestler out there. Every guy, you know, whether it was Hogan or Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, you know, all the other members of the NWO, guys that were in DX, Four Horsemen, you name it. Everyone has talked ad nauseum the last decade about the behind the scenes stuff, and this was a work, this was a shoot. And so, like, as far as fans go, you don't know all that until years later when someone's online spilling the beans about it. The illusion, the kayfabe, had already been screwed for a long time now. I mean, there's a million channels on wrestling. And so Jim Cornette is kind of killing her for that, right? And I'm like, whoa, 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 you've done it. You've done it. You haven't called it fake, obviously. But, and I know that's the part that pisses him off, is the fake. But by discussing how things work backstage, how the scripts were done, how the matches were built, I mean, you've basically, y'all have called it out as being fake. Jim Cornette being one of those people. People that she was in the locker room with in WWE, they also have a big problem. Let's start with Alexa Bliss. I have no idea who this person is. I had to look her up. I don't know. But apparently she had several matches with Ronda, and she got hurt a lot. Now, there are times when, if you don't know really what you're doing in the ring, you can hurt the person you're working with, which is kind of what they're talking about with Ronda. But also, not only does she, Ronda not very proficient in being fake, she comes from the land of the real. In MMA, UFC, you're paid to actually hurt people. That's what she's done, is hurt people as a profession. That's how she's made her name, is really hurting people on purpose. So, to go to another profession where you try to make it look like you're hurting somebody, but you're not hurting somebody, it's kind of tough. And then the one that really makes me laugh is this person named Nia Jax. So I'm going to put a picture up here so you can see Miss Jax. And I got nothing against the big girls. Whoa. But apparently Miss Jax has taken real exception to this. Went to Twitter. So let me go ahead and just read that for you. So I can't wait for Ronda to one day return to WWE. Even if WWE orders me to make Ronda look good in the ring, which is the only way for Ronda to look good in the ring with me. Well, I mean, yeah, she was a novice. She ain't gonna look good. Okay. I'll risk my job to go down in history as the one from this biz that knocked her the fuck out. Hashtag test me, bitch. All right, so I'm like, whew, Nia Long must be one badass woman. So I looked her up. And, down in the distance, she's related to The Rock. I don't know, fourth, fifth cousin once removed or something, I don't know. And she is part Samoan, which doesn't mean much. And she was a plus-size model. This is where professional wrestlers at times and people in and around the business can be delusional. Okay? There's no way Nia Long is knocking anybody the fuck out. Nia Long, I've seen, now look, I went ahead and pulled up some video of Nia Long wrestling. Darling, you don't look good wrestling. You suck. You suck. You move like shit. You move like a damn water buffalo in there. It doesn't look good. And look, you got the same height and weight as me. I wouldn't look good in the ring either. Now, I know someone might be watching this and is all into wrestling still, and you love Nia Jax, fine. And look, big women can be beautiful. I'm not saying Miss Jax, or whatever her real name is not beautiful. Is not pretty or whatever. Well, she's not my cup of tea, but whatever. But you're going to knock out a former UFC champion? No, you're not. You don't even know how to throw a punch. You know how to throw a fake punch and stomp your foot to make it sound like it's doing something. But no. See, these are stunt people. They know how to take a fall and try to keep from getting hurt. They know how to choreograph some shit. She ain't knocking anybody the fuck out. I would love to see a real fight. I'd love to see an octagon in a cage fight with Nia Jax, whatever the hell her name is, and Ronda. Ronda will break your freaking arm within about 15 seconds. And I know you're way bigger than her. So am I. But let me tell you something. I could not kick Ronda Rousey's ass if I was lucky enough to put my fist on her. But the problem is, I'm big, I'm slow, I don't really know how to punch. You know what I'm saying? She would take me straight the hell out. And that's not me trying to be some feminist guy. I'm not. Alright, but this is a trained, professional, dangerous woman. For real. Not for fake. For real. No, Nia Long wouldn't do shit. Or what Nia Long? She wishes. Nia Jax wouldn't do shit to Ronda Rousey. Except for get her own ass beat. Quick. She was a world-class Olympian in judo. And it doesn't matter how big you are. The first time I ever saw Ronda Rousey, why I became such a big fan of hers, because I really liked the Ultimate Fighter show. And it's a great show. It's still a great show. The first time I ever saw her on that show, one of the coaches brought her in to show some judo to these guys, and these guys going, because Ronda's not big, maybe 115 pounds, 120 pounds. She's a small woman. She really is. She had these big, huge guys, and she's just hooking them over her head. I mean, these dudes are flying head over heels. And I was blown away. I'm like, dude, this woman's a badass. Turns out her mother was a freaking world-class judo person as well. I ain't no 4 times once removed from The Rock or whoever. Her mother was legit. Made her legit. Ronda is a bad son of a bitch. Alright? Period. So no. Nia, what are you going to do? Nia Jax? Are you going to throw a camera at her? Plus size model? What are you going to do? Fake fall down? It's a joke, dude. But Ronda, as usual, has great responses. So this is her response on Twitter. I'm going to go ahead and read that for you. It's always good stuff when it comes from Ronda. Anyone who is outraged by me calling pro wrestling fake fights for fun has never been in a real fight. There you go. While you are all tiptoeing around bruising some pro wrestlers' huge soft egos, no one is thinking about all the real fighters you're insulting when pretending pro wrestling is somehow on the same level of realism. Yes, I understand wrestling 300 days a year for years on end is incredibly tough on the body and a difficult profession, and it is, no doubt. But do you know what would happen if you got into 300 real fights in a year? You'd be dead. Exactly. It's nowhere near the same. But Ronda's exactly right. Okay? Wrestlers don't get butt hurt when someone legit, an MMA person, looks at your sport and says, hey man, I appreciate what you guys do, yada yada yada, but don't be trying to call that shit real, because it's not. It's a different world, folks. It's a different world. And you could say, well, hey man, Brock Lesnar was a legit collegiate wrestler, all-American wrestler. All right, the dude could play football, had tryouts in the NFL, and from what I understood, wasn't that far from, guys saying, man, maybe we should give him a shot. And the reason is because he was such an athletic freak and a huge guy, extraordinarily powerful. He just didn't have the skill set, which is what hampered him in the UFC, which is why he didn't last that long there. Yes, he did win the championship, and he also lost it quickly, because he didn't have the skills. And look, I'm a Brock Lesnar fan, dude. I was cheering hard for Brock in the UFC. But you get in there with Cain Velasquez, who knows how to throw, you're done, dude. It doesn't matter. Because Cain is also, he's a black belt jiu-jitsu guy. Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He's got takedown defense. He can submit you on his back. He can, dude was great. The dude is legit. And Brock found that out the hard way. He got his ass whooped. That's what happens when you only have a limited skill set. If Brock had gone into the UFC instead of going to WWE, you're talking about one of the greatest champions in UFC ever. If he would do, if he did that and worked for years on those skill sets, he just didn't have enough time. So everyone getting all, shitty about it. Look, why don't you just, I'll tell you what. I don't know where you would sanction a big old girl like that against little old Ronda Rousey, but I would love to see it, like, for real. Not no damn WWE bullshit. I mean, in a cage. Let's see Nia Jax get her sorry soft ass in a cage against Ronda Rousey. That freaking blitzkrieg would tear her apart. I'm sorry, Nia Jax sucks. She's only there because she's big. You know what big woman that was a freaking badass. My favorite wrestler in Impact Wrestling was Awesome Kong. She could move in that ring. And if you watch Glow, it's a new series on Netflix that I've fallen in love with. She plays one of the wrestlers named Welfare Queen. Oh, God. It's a fucked up name. Awesome Kong was badass. All right. Just legit. She looked legit in the ring. Nia Jax just looks like a fat girl trying. She looks horrible. And I don't mean physically. I mean just what she does in the ring sucks. She sucks. And I pull for the big women in the ring, dude. I love that. And I was always a bigger fan of the big dudes in the ring. I'm a fan of the big women in the ring. And she sucks, man. Her skill level is... it's bullshit. In these weird times we're in right now, we got to do some weird stuff sometimes to entertain ourselves. And that was a entertaining story. Figured I'd share that with y'all. Anyway, enough of that crap. I'll be back with some other crap later. Bye.